Welcome to the Linguistics Show, where we talk about life, love, and everything else. There's always something to talk about with this couple, so you never know what may come out of their mouth.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Linguistics Show. You're here with Jason.
And I'm Carol.
And today we're going to talk about that crazy thing that happened back in March 2020.
The pandemic?
Well, shoot, I was going to say something clever and witty, but I didn't think fast enough before you said pandemic. I was going to just say some stupid random event that happened during that same time frame. Oh, you mean when the NBA shut down for that one reason?
That's what I was going to say.
I can't ever remember when the NBA stopped playing basketball. I was going to say something stupid like that.
Before,
I was going to say some dumb things like that. But yeah, so, let's be honest. Now, we're not going to be sitting here giving you, hot takes on whether you should wear your mask or not. I'm not finna tell you that you're going to be guilty or not guilty for taking it seriously or not taking it seriously. I'm not going to sit here and guilt trip you over taking your vaccine or not. That's not what we're here for. That's not what we're talking about. So when we were talking about the pandemic, we're really just talking about the effects of this whole thing. And again, we're not scientists, so I'm not talking about the after effects of having the disease or whatever the case may be. We're really just talking about, its effect on us day to day, its effect on our lives. And I feel like none of us have really even scratched the surface of what this is going to mean to us to have essentially lost 2.5 years of our lives. 2 years of our lives completely gone. And, for some of us, really gone, where we're not here. They're not here no more. They succumbed to the virus. They're not here no more. My father passed away right at the very beginning of this thing. Do they know whether or not it was COVID? No, they don't really know. They just said it was a heart attack. We don't know. Yeah. We really don't know. And so, it's tough. And I think that collectively, similar to how, us as a culture have dealt with the scourge of police brutality over the years, especially over the last few years where, social media has allowed so much more of these things to be visible and present. And you kind of get PTSD from another black man shot, another black man shot, another black man shot by the police. And you just kind of get tired you get fatigued. It's a PTSD feeling where you don't even want to hear about it no more. You can't, you don't want it. You can't deal with it. And to a certain extent, I feel like that's what has happened with COVID. I feel like we really hadn't even scratched the surface of what this is going to mean to us, to had seen everything we know and love basically cease to exist. Some people lost their jobs. Some people lost their homes. Some people lost their, friends and relatives. And, as a people, that whole experience collectively weighs on all of us. And I feel like it could really result in some negative ramifications.
Speaking of the way that this weighs on us, this is something that I personally had the PTSD, had the pandemic talk on fatigue, that I was tired of talking about it. How has it affected you? Or hearing about it at work. Well, not at work, but on work calls or just on TV. I had a mental block on the effects of not, well, of me personally not being around many people for 2 years and change. And so it wasn't as if you and I were both in the house as hermits, almost as Herberts.
As Herberts?
that's the last
as
name.
Herberts?
As hermits. That's the word to say. As anyhow, it's not as if we were both in the house, just locked away because there were people who were afraid to come out for a year, 2 years, still afraid to come out now. So that's nothing like us. But for me, I just blocked out the effects that it was having on me because I knew that it affected people not wanting to maybe be social or not wanting to get motivated. But it wasn't until a few months ago that I realized that that is now me, that I am someone who has all the energy in the world in my head, but I have been in a rut the last couple of months. And this is a topic that we were not going to talk about originally, but I think it is important that we do talk about it. And
You're
so,
right. And mainly because I feel like this is not just something that affects us in particular, but I feel like this is the type of thing that affects people in general and just, society as a whole. None of us have lived through something like this before. Now, maybe your parents or grandparents or great grandparents are pretty old and maybe they lived through like the whole polio thing, or maybe they lived through, the Great Plague or something like that back in like the early
don't
1900s.
let's not even try to pick dates because I don't
Right,
know.
like
Let's not
maybe
even
maybe
guess
maybe
dates.
they've lived through something like that, like the Spanish flu thing back in the early 1900s. Maybe they lived through that. And so none of us have lived through something like this before. And I feel very strongly that we really have not even begun to determine what the end results of all of this are going to be, that what the final ramifications for society as a whole is going to be. None of us know how this is going to affect us. And the one thing I can say is that personally, I was originally, when it all kind of went down, I was originally very concerned. I was scared to death. I really was. I kind of, as I'm not a very religious person, but I am a spiritual person. And I kind of, was concerned that this is, the stuff that's happening. I remember at the same time, we had the, I'm not going to call that man the anti. Hey, I'm
What,
not gonna call that man that. I'm
45?
not gonna call that man the
We just
Antichrist.
call him 45
I ain't gonna
still.
call him that. But we had somebody who was really ruining the world right before our eyes. Civil unrest in all different corners of the country and all around the world for that matter. Um, you know, the continued demise of our natural resources and just the health of our planet, and all of these things added all together, and then throw in here the possibility that humanity as we know it is going to come to an end. And of course we didn't know that back then, but that was something you had to think about. And so me personally, when all of this kind of happened, I found myself trying to find ways to achieve normalcy. Yeah, it was pretty cool at first to get paid to telework and get paid to sit at home. That was pretty cool at first, but then I realized that wasn't pretty cool. And so, I had to get back to work. And that was one of the things I did, was I immediately went and got back to work and was out there doing stuff. And, that didn't work for everybody. Some people didn't really want to go out. I know at the very beginning, I didn't really want to go out, but I did it anyway because I knew that I had to provide. I couldn't be, I couldn't let this, you know, obviously world changing and, major epic event. I couldn't let this, stop me from being who I needed to be for my wife and kids. And so I feel like, yes, it was hard for me at first, but I definitely learned a lot about myself. And I'd say that I've matured quite a bit since since the onset of the pandemic, because it really kind of helped me to really hone in on my priorities and making sure that I'm doing the right things all the time. And so that being said, I think it is important that we talk about this subject because there's a lot of people who are hurting. There's a lot of people that, you may have lost a loved one and you're still grieving. You may have just have a collective level of grief from all of the pain and suffering that so many people have gone through. And that sort of thing can weigh on someone. It really can. Then also the concept of the change in your routine, the change in, you know, as humans, we really are kind of creatures of routine. We get used to doing the same things all the time. We wake up in the morning, we go to bed at night, we eat when we're supposed to eat, we sleep when we're supposed to sleep, and we get in our cars and we work. Just think about the fact that someone forces you, like you, just to survive. We wake up as early as we can, force ourselves to eat, sleep, shower, shit, get in our car, sit in that commute for 2 hours, and then sit in a cubicle for 8 hours,
Come on,
and
Cubicle
then
Nation.
just to get back in your car and fight that commute all over again. And you spend more time at work than you do at home, which you do all this work just to be able to afford this home that you can't even enjoy because you're always at work. um so yes, that wasn't a great life to live before, but that's what we were all used to.
It's definitely good to have a routine. And so, like Jason brings up some really good points about, that there are just so many effects that we just don't know. And like Jason likes to have something to do. And so he out of this couple is not the one who doesn't mind being in the house like for hours or in this case for days and weeks and then months. And so I actually was loving the fact that I don't really have to do anything out of the house. I can go on a walk, but even going on walks eventually, I was like, probably should just be staying in the house. I don't know what's out there in my own in
You
my own
don't
neighborhood
know.
air. So
I
we just
mean,
stay in
we
the
didn't
house.
know it. Nobody knew at first, right? We didn't know.
but like, but now that I look back on it, like some of this definitely was fear mongering, or is it
Mm-hmm.
monger or
Yeah, fear
that fear
mongering.
mongering?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm wise enough to understand that maybe I would overreact a little bit, but like with Jason, he went back to work in the office a lot sooner than me, and so like I was saying a few minutes ago earlier, like I said, I don't have a bell
Yeah,
right now.
I basically went back.
I don't have a bell.
I was literally out of the office from March until
Was that
September.
yeah?
Well,
So
March until late August. So, that was my time away,
that
and
was good though.
yeah, it was cool to be able to know that I didn't have to wake up and force myself to go do something every day. It was cool to, get to spend more time with my kids. Now, granted, my kids would sit here and tell you that the pandemic sucked and that virtual school was the worst and it was a crazy experience and they
Well,
feel cheated out of their childhood, and
it it definitely
depending on the child.
yeah, because
But
two and three would say
for
it
me,
sucked.
I would say that it was cool to be able to spend more time with my kids. It was cool to spend more time with my wife. It was, I got to, spend a little bit more time engaging in my hobbies and things like that. So yeah, while that was all fine and good, Carol is right that I am the type of person that I gotta have something to go do. I'm not a lazy person by any means, even though that is the kind of stigma for us Tauruses, us Taurians. Is that what you
That you're
call it?
lazy. Y'all are bullheaded and
That's what
stubborn.
our that's one of our things, is that we're supposed to be lazy. Well, I'm one of them people like, yeah, I enjoy a comfortable seat. That's for sure. I'd love to sit around and do nothing, but I get bored quickly, and so I got to get up and go get going. And yes, everybody's experience is not the same, but I do think that for me personally, I was more worried about the safety and security of my family, my mama, stuff like that, than how I felt personally or what I was going through, or even my own personal safety. There were plenty of times where coming back from work and I was so pressed that I had to like strip down all of my clothes as soon as I came in the house. I wouldn't let nobody touch me, can't hug me, nothing like that. Just let me go get in the shower right now and wash the COVID
I
off
knew you were
me.
gonna say. I knew
I had to
you were
wash
gonna
the
say that
I gotta go
phrase.
get in the shower and wash this
Watch
COVID.
the COVID.
I gotta wash this COVID off me before I can interact with my family and friends. And so I really think that it is important, you know, from a collective mental health perspective, it is important to acknowledge how throwing everyone's routine off so drastically, coupled with the real concrete evidence of there being a real health concern out there, when you put those two things together, it creates an environment where people can suffer from PTSD like symptoms and feelings of just dread and feelings of, sorrow and pain because it's so uncertain and so, frankly, scary.
And like I had a revelation just now. What time is it? It is
That time, it don't matter what time
yes,
it is,
yeah,
whatever time you listening to this
exactly.
podcast,
It
you
is
know what I
that time.
mean?
So I was telling you earlier today, that I don't feel motivated, even though I know I have things to do, and in my head I'm motivated, but in reality, I just been in this major rut, and so I realized just now that the way that I want to do things is that I get energy to get things done. I've noticed like in the afternoon and in the evening. And so that's how it's been the last couple of months. But there's also the time that our kids are getting home from school. And so I realized that I have been lonely. And I didn't even know that I was lonely until I guess just now. Whenever you hear this podcast is when you realize, know that the effects of my husband being back at work, because he was already back in the office way before I was. I was working at home, teleworking, wherever I was working, but I was working at home. The kids went back in their classrooms this school year, and so I was really just all alone. And so I would go and do errands and see my mom and my sister for a little bit occasionally, but besides, there was just me and these walls. And so, like, making the connection that I am getting more energy for doing things when people are around me, which is just the kids and you. That, and I didn't realize that that's what I needed to get motivated, because I had been home pretty much for 2 years and change without having anything to really do besides go do errands or take a walk outside. And so that for me is a major revelation, honey.
Well, so I don't want to play armchair psychiatrist here.
You've been playing armchair
For 20
psychiatrist.
years,
Thank you.
for
You've been
20
playing
years
that
I've been
for
doing that.
22 years. You've been the armchair psychiatrist.
I've been the shrink, the style coach, the fix it man, the mechanic.
I'm talking about
Man,
people
all
in
these
general, not
people.
about just me, because you are Mr. Problem Solver. Don't use me as example.
Well, the point is like I to a certain extent I don't know if it's as much loneliness from not having nobody to talk to or not having anybody to interact with. So not like that, like we don't spend time together. And truth be told, on another episode of the Linguistic Show, we'll be talking about how you keep things, spicy in
Ooh.
your relationship. And so part of that was our renewed focus on dating
Oh,
and
dating during the pandemic.
dating during the pandemic.
That was good for us though during
Our
our.
renewed focus on actually dating, not just saying, okay, we're going to go to dinner, but like actually dating. And so I don't think Carol means I'm lonely because Jason's not spending time with me, or I'm
No, no, that's
lonely
not what I
because my
mean.
kids have shit to do
It's
and
because
soccer and sports and track and things. It's because you don't get up and go to the office. You don't have the water cooler comments. You don't get to go sit, at somebody's desk and listen to music
when
for
talk
20
for
minutes
20 minutes and get out
and
there, but oh,
talk. You
got a
don't
meeting.
you don't have as cool as Zoom and Teams are, you don't get to give somebody a fist bump or a high five, or you don't get to have lunch with somebody. You don't get to have the same. It's not the same. And I'll be honest, even being back in the office with all of the various protocols, and I hope your note next time you need to turn your note. That's why I paused so that you can
You
edit it.
didn't pause.
No, I paused talking.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you have to turn your volume on your phone down so that you don't have those notifications.
Okay. See if I
So
can.
one of the things of going back in the office like that and being able to see all of your coworkers and not just that, like think about the day to day. As much as you hate the commute, as much as you hate traffic and you hate being on that train, at least you got to see people. And that was one of the first things I could say when I got back to the office, that I loved every day at work, even though my job at the time sucked. I loved it because I had a purpose. I had somewhere I needed to be, something I needed to do, and I got to see people. I got to interact with folks. And there's something to that. There's really something to that. And I'm glad that we were able to talk about this and you were able to come to that revelation. There is something to that, it's not like you're hanging out with people and going to happy hour all the time and stuff like that, but it's still just the being able to just interact, just being able to walk down the hallway and knock on somebody's door and ask them a question instead of sending an email.
Yeah, you're right. And and like with me having to actually go back to work as of like 3 weeks ago, I was actually, looking forward to going back to work. So it's not like I'm there every single day of the week, but it's just something to give me a routine once a week. And so I was telling one of my good friends off and on over the last couple of months that I don't know what's wrong with me. And then she would say, no, nothing's wrong with you. I'm like, yes, something is wrong with me. I don't know what it is. And so I actually told her yesterday, well, it was a text, but I was telling her no, that something is really wrong with me. I don't know what it is. And so I go to her for a lot of my questions about like health and that kind of thing. And so it wasn't until we talked after work, that I realized, that I just need people around me to get motivated. And so I was so great not being in the office the last 2 years. I didn't miss it because I started a new job during the pandemic, so I didn't know anyone anyway. Like I miss people who I don't even know. It wasn't that,
Right.
but like me getting motivated to like really get, I guess, gung ho focus on doing things around the house around usually starts like around 2ish or 1, and I know by then the kids are going to be getting home soon. And so it wasn't until recently that I made this connection that for me I need to have people around me who I care about and who I care about them to actually feel motivated, because I know there's so much that has to be done, whether it's for my work, whether it's things around the house as being a wife and a mom, but just like me being home, I was in a legit rut and had no clue like why I just could not do something simple like take a walk around the neighborhood, which I was doing a lot of in the fall and in last year and the year before, but I just felt totally unmotivated to accomplish anything that I knew had to be done. And so with this being Mental Health Awareness Month in May, I didn't know just how important it is to talk about this, that this is bothering me. Maybe this may help someone else who may be in a rut or maybe feeling down but didn't really know why they are feeling that way. And so I just want, I guess, to express that it's okay to not be okay. And I never have made that. I won't say never, but I rarely make that connection with me, because I know at times I'm like overwhelmed, but I don't think of the why. I'm like, oh, I'm overwhelmed, I'm flustered, but I just never really think about why am I overwhelmed and flustered. I just know it's a fact. I'm going through it. I'll be okay eventually, and I just have to keep on going. But it is good to take time and just think about, like, are you really okay? Like, has this pandemic had an effect on you that back in 2020 maybe you had no idea that it would affect you that way. So I definitely, thank my awesome partner, my husband, for being someone who was encouraging, because I honestly cannot imagine going through these 2+ years living alone, because it's bad enough, that I'm not bad enough, but it's lonely enough for me these last few months that I am home alone during the day when he's at work and the kids are at school. But to our listeners and loved ones who don't have anyone living with them, we definitely want to make sure that they are okay.
Right.
Have you seen that your coworkers and your employees maybe are going through something similar to me, or have they been all gung ho about yay back at work and hooray and
Well, I mean,
back to business?
there's been quite a few I've seen different stages of this. I've seen people who were like just excited to get out the house and do anything just so they could be out the house. And I've seen people who still don't want to be out the house and they're scared to death and they don't want to be around people. They don't want to be around anything, that they're just that concerned with the whole health part of it. And so the other thing that I've seen is that, yeah, like you do have people who have kind of motivation issues. I've seen people who have had other mental issues, and it kind of has all kind of stemmed from the same thing, is that like we were, even if you weren't necessarily comfortable, you knew what your life was before March 13th, 2020.
Right.
You knew what your life was, you knew what was going on. And ever since then, I mean, think about the fact that I've thought about this many times, that there are people that I worked with for multiple months and I've never seen their face. I'd never seen their face. So like, now that the restrictions are calming down a little bit and there isn't as much of a mask mandate, so now masks are a little bit more relaxed, and so it's not as prevalent as it was like this time last year or
Right.
like into the fall of last year. But I remember vividly thinking to myself, like, I have never seen, like, one of my employees, and that person had one employee of the month. And I remember thinking, and I even felt like I said this to one of my assistants. I was like, yo, I don't think I've ever seen her face. I don't think I've ever seen her face. Like, I've never
Not
seen.
even like on a Teams call. She always had her
Well,
camera off.
that's what I'm saying. Like this employee of mine, I feel like I had never seen her face other than the original interview. I
Mm-hmm.
had never seen her face, and that's from wearing masks. And it's that sort of disassociation. I mean, I feel like that's a big part of it, from a psychological standpoint as well. The disassociation of wearing masks all the time, and we don't get to see each other's facial expressions. I think that contributes to this as well. This feeling of, loneliness, this kind of feeling of, you know, it is kind of a down feeling, that's for sure. It's an empty kind of feeling, and I
That's a good thing. Empty is good.
and so like that's where I've found that for me, what works for me is finding the little things, starting off small, finding the little things to do that I can say, yeah, I accomplished this, and it makes me feel a little bit better, and then I accomplished this, and that makes me feel a little bit better. And one of the things that I used to do in the very beginning of the pandemic was to kind of cook up errands.
Yes, you liked to do the errands. And
No, I'm talking
I
about
don't
I would
know,
cook up errands. I would make up an errand.
but I
I would
know.
be like, yo, you need a left shoe? I'm going to Walmart. I'm going to Walmart just to go get you a brand new left shoe. Like I would do anything just to have a reason to go do something. But it was for two reasons. Number one, yes, I did want to get out the house because I've had a job since I was 15 years old. So I didn't really, I'm not with the sit around all day routine. I am definitely not team unemployment and collect a check. That is not me. I got to go out here and get it. But then the other part is that my love language, and that's going to be on another episode of the Linguistic Show when we talk about
Okay.
love
So
languages.
we have
And
had dating and then love
do
language.
you know
Okay.
your partner's love languages? You better. because that's what we finna talk about. But anyway, one of my love languages, my main one, is giving. It's service. I just love helping people. I love it. Makes me feel good when I can do something for somebody else. And so that was part of the whole thing at the beginning of the pandemic as well, with me cooking up errands, is that it gave me purpose. I could say that yes, I had to go do this for my wife and kids. It gave me purpose.
I mean, there was this one time, and I know it was 2020, and it was, well, how long do you think it took for you to actually feel somewhat okay with doing these small errands? Because I know, for a few months or monthish, like we didn't really do anything unless it was like it had to be done, and that was going to the grocery
Walmart, look,
store
all we went to was Giant, Walmart,
or
and Home Depot
into
slash Lowe's.
yeah, in
That was
Target.
it.
We
And
did four
Target.
things.
That
All we
was it.
did.
It was the only four places we traveled for a solid 2.5, 3 months.
But I mean, what I'm getting at is like how long did it take you think to actually feel semi okay with even doing those things that had to be done? Because like Lowe's and Home Depot didn't have to be done until we had the issue with our bathroom, so they kind of had to be done. But like as far as like going to Giant or Safeway or any other grocery store for those who don't have that,
You want to know
like
that? You want to know how I really feel?
yeah, but some yeah,
I still don't feel comfortable. But
still two
st-
two years later,
yeah, I still don't feel comfortable, but I know that I have to do what I have to do. And so that's a risk I'm willing to take. At this point, I've been in the public. I've worked in the public, so I've been in the public for a while, and I feel fairly confident that I'm able to, mitigate the risk by wearing my mask, by doing hand sanitizer, by doing social distancing, whatever the various things are.
right?
And so I feel fairly confident that, I'm able to mitigate the risk. However, I still feel certain times, I still feel like, oh my God, all these freaking people. Oh my God, these people around me not wearing masks. Oh my God, this person
Yeah,
coughing or sneezing. And it throws me off. Just case in point, I mean, since we're in a safe space here, the linguistic show is a safe space.
in our basement studio.
Right. And so since we're in a safe space here, I can honestly tell you that part of one of my issues since coming back to work is that I had a ton of anxiety with riding the train. It took me, even though I get a subsidy to pay for my commute on mass transit, it took me a while to embrace even riding the train again because I didn't want to be around all these people. And you know, overcoming that sort of thing was really brought upon by my real motivation for life in general, which I had said earlier, is just you and them girls. It's I'm more focused on doing whatever it takes to make sure that y'all are good than I am about my own personal feelings. And so that might not be the best way to go about your life or whatever the case may be, but it is what has allowed me to feel comfortable with those risks, even though I knew I didn't like going out and doing things at the beginning. I really didn't like it,
Right.
but it had to be done. And the way I looked at it is that I'd rather be the one to do it than you.
Yeah, and you're right because you were very protective and didn't want me to go and do these little errands. And I know that like sometimes I wanted just to get out occasionally and do something. And so like you went to do errands like buy pepper one day because I wanted to make something and we were low on pepper. And so you went. I don't know whether you went to one store or two, but it was hard to find pepper. And so that's something that you made sure that you got so we could have something for dinner that had pepper in it. But I
She was
definitely,
sauteing her squash. I had to have some pepper.
yeah, pepper is important. Pepper is vital to my life when it comes to my taste buds. But that's not really important, But something that you had talked about earlier that I think is okay to touch on still is like spending time with your significant other during this quarantine slash lockdown, whatever you want to call it. And like we did make a point eventually to do something, the two of us. And I actually liked our pandemic weekly dates,
Mm-hmm.
going out to do some kind of errand, whether it was to the grocery store together or to Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, Walmart, something that we could just do, the two of us, because the kids were home still because they were not back in school. You were home still. I was obviously home still. And we just, it was important that we as a couple found a way to not lose touch with each other while we are in these four walls with our family.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And so, yeah, that was an important revelation that we had. And I guess overall, the main thing that we want to, get across to everyone is that, again, it's okay if you don't feel like yourself, if you don't feel okay. And, I feel like a lot of us don't feel okay and are probably reaching for answers, trying to figure out why. And, if this episode helps you to feel a little bit better today, knowing that you hadn't been yourself over the last few weeks or the last couple months or even the last couple years, knowing that you're not the only one that doesn't feel like themselves, and that, you know, if we all kind of wrapped our collective heads around it, we could probably figure out, hey, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Like how myself and my wife figured out today, maybe it's that we have places to get up and go and she doesn't, and that bothers her to be sitting up in the house all day by herself.
And I didn't know it was bothering me because I just knew something was wrong with me because before this pandemic, I would call my aunts and check on them, say, "Hey, how you doing?" And just like chat with them. And in my head, I know that I need to do that, or need to just go and send an email to them and just make sure they're okay. But I just didn't even feel the energy to even stay in touch with my loved ones, which is not like me at all. So whether it was close friends, cousins, relatives, just people who I would normally talk to, like on the phone, not texting, but like talk to for real, I just didn't even feel enough energy to even talk to people who I really, really love. And so that, no, that definitely was not me. So that was a big sign that something is not right. And so I am glad that I was able to tell you today, as my friend, because we were friends first before we started dating and then got married. And so I'm glad I was able to come to you as a friend and be like, hey, Jason, something is not right with me. And I'm letting you know, friend to friend. So I appreciate your friendship. So definitely check on your friends too. Check on your friends who may be the strong girlfriend or the strong guy, because sometimes they're not going to be okay. And if you don't check on them, they may not even tell you what's going on.
That's very true. And as someone who is the resident strong person for a lot of people,
Because
I
he's the
can
armchair psychiatrist.
I
Would you
can
say? Would you
definitely
call
tell
yourself?
you, the armchair psychiatrist. I can definitely tell you that that is important, and I value it quite a bit when my friends check up on me, because they know that I'm the one that's always checking up on them, and it's very much appreciated. That's for sure. So I hope that today this has been able to really kind of shed some light on not necessarily an uncomfortable topic, but a, something that's not fun to talk about, that's for sure, but something that needs to be talked about nonetheless, as we've all kind of experienced this together. And, the only way we're going to be able to move forward and get past all of this is if we all, work together to do so. And so I think identifying different ways that, you know, our experiences over the last 2 years with the pandemic have caused you to feel a certain kind of way, and I feel like identifying that really was a major step, and that's a big point. And I think it's an invaluable lesson towards not just accepting that, oh, if I'm not feeling myself, well, it's just the way it's supposed to be. There's a reason why. And so, try to figure out what the root cause is and fix it. But again, I hope that this experience today has helped a lot of you to, work on yourselves and feel a little bit better about yourselves with everything that's going on. And if it hasn't, by all means, listen to it again. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. But no, if it hasn't, then there's plenty of other resources out there as well. There's lots of people you can talk to, talk space, things like that. So like, there's lots of different things you can do, to find support if you need it. Just don't be afraid to reach out for support. That's probably one of the biggest challenges, is to remember and realize that you can reach out for support. That's okay. So that being said, thank you all for listening. We want to make sure everybody goes in and clicks that little like button, and you need to like, you need to subscribe, you need to check out the new episodes, you need to check out the old episodes, you need to stream them, you need to go ahead and record them like you still had a tape deck. Remember tape decks, and you used to hit the record button and then pause it when that song was over so you didn't have to hear the commercials, and then you record it again, and you had a crazy mixtape that you could have, man, wow, remember those days? Now we don't do that no more. Nowadays it's all streaming. But on your favorite streaming device, you can go ahead and check us out on there. All those other various things that we're not sponsored by, so we're not going to just name all of your podcast streaming applications.
But yes, you can check us out. You know where to find us
until y'all drop me a couple coins. Y'all drop me a couple coins, I'm gonna drop your name, just so you know, with your little logo that look like a Wi-Fi logo. We know who you are. You drop me some coins, I'm gonna drop your name all the time.
Check us
I'm gonna
out
have
on
a
Spotify and
Oh
Stitcher.
man, we didn't get paid for none of that. I would have your logo on my car if you drop me some coins out here, Slim. Anyway, we appreciate y'all for coming out and checking us out today. This is an important one, and I want to make sure that y'all all understand how important mental health is, and to make sure that you check on your friends, because, ironically, I check on Carol every single day, 3 times a day. It's probably annoying.
It's not,
but it
it's
doesn't
not
mean,
annoying.
but it's always, oh, I'm okay. It's this and that. And then today she volunteered that something wasn't right. And so that's why we get into it. And so I'm the type of person that always hits you with I'm fine. I'm fine.
And
I'll be
I know
fine.
at times
I'm
you're
fine.
not. And
I'll be
because
fine.
Because I can
I'm
tell
fine.
too.
I'll be fine. I'm fine. And so check on your I'm fine friends, because we're not all fine. That's for sure.
Agree on that. So until next time, bye.
That was a fun closing. But yes, till next time. See y'all. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this, like, comment,
Subscribe and share to the Linguistic Show.
This has been an Ashangali Enterprises production.
Co-produced by Naomi. Music by Brassville.